Hey guys, welcome to Everything Interesting. Today we'll be talking about 5 of the most toxic places to live. Dzerzhinsk, Russia. Dzerzhinsk is known as one of the most polluted cities in the world. During Soviet times, the city was a center of chemical weapon factories until 1965. They illegally dumped massive amounts of toxic waste into the land, which consisted of high volumes of arsenic. Some factories are still around and have been abandoned without proper dismantling. Today, Dzerzhinsk houses various chemical factories that continue to illegally dump toxic waste into the land and lakes. Naturally, the highly toxic pollution has severely affected the health of local residents. Back when the weapon factories existed, there was a substantial water filtration system that provided everyone with clean drinking water. However, after the USSR was dissolved and new leadership took over, everything changed and the water condition was no longer maintained. Now, some of the same pipes that were once used for chemicals from the weapon factories are used to transport water throughout the community. The water is usually filled with dirt and is highly poisonous, containing dioxins in concentrations that are 17 million times the safe limit. Residents collect water from community pipes, let it sit to remove the bulk of the dirt, and then boil it just to make it drinkable. Some people will splurge from time to time on expensive bottled water. Others are tired of the sanitation routine and just got used to drinking dirty water for convenience and affordability. In addition to the chemical waste, Dzerzhinsk also faces problems with tons of trash being dumped. Roughly 450 trucks come into the city to dump trash weekly and can reach up to 1,000 trucks worth of trash during holidays and big events. The mixture of trash and chemicals affect all aspects of living here. The drinking water and soil are highly contaminated, which means crops grown are also poisonous for consumption. The air is polluted from the factories, coupled with the grotesque stench of the dump sites. There's a lot of illness related to contact with toxic chemicals and respiratory diseases from the air. Residents also suffer from higher rates of birth defects. The environmental conditions are so bad that the average life expectancy is only 42 years for men and 47 years for women. Perhaps the saddest part about all this is that Russians fear speaking out against the government. This journalist struggles to find honest people that will help him shed light on the truth of their living conditions.
Ik weet nu wat ik met die man moet, want hij vertelt allemaal leugens. Dus,
Сейчас
The few people that try to advocate for change make little to no progress as the government continuously declines their requests for help. The rest of the community is aware that they'd be fighting a losing battle, so they turn a blind eye to the issues and accept their lives in this state. Some people do move out for the sake of their health, but so many more can't bring themselves to leave the place they call home. Kafue in Zambia. This is a town that fell victim to British colonial capitalism in 1904 when they began mining for lead in Kafue until 1970. The mines were then nationalized by the local government and eventually closed for good in 1994. Despite being shut down for many decades, more than a third of Kafue soil remains highly contaminated by lead from the mining and smelting of the past. The smelting dust, combined with strong winds and floods over time, have further spread the contamination. There has never been a proper cleanup of the sites, bearing over 5 million tons of waste, so the current residents regularly suffer from lead poisoning. Children are the most vulnerable, as they absorb 4 to 5 times more lead than adults, since their bodies and brains are still developing. The problem is, there's no way to differentiate contaminated from safe soil, so children unknowingly play in and inhale lead-filled dirt and dust. Some of the effects of lead poisoning are brain and various organ damage, learning disabilities, diarrhea, loss of hearing or vision, impaired growth, and even death. The government has yet to take any notable actions towards improvement, but small and meaningful efforts are being made locally. Activist children at schools try to educate their peers on the effects and prevention of lead poisoning. The reason this is necessary is because the detrimental effects often go unnoticed until it's too late. In fact, many of the symptoms have become normalized in the community. There are also small companies helping families by making their yards safe for children. The process involves using a fabric membrane and layering it with clean clay soil. They are a very small group that recruited local women to help out, but much greater expansion is required to reach all the families in need.
We are trying to raise support to continue this and intend to come back. But I don't know when. I leave knowing that mom's still waiting.
Hazaribagh, Bangladesh. One of Bangladesh's top exports is leather, and many tanneries operate in the city of Hazaribagh. These tanneries get away with ignoring labor laws and lack the proper safety protocols for their workers and the environment. Workers dump raw hides into a toxic mixture of chemicals. Two of the ingredients, sodium sulfide and acid, are known to burn tissue and release toxic fumes. They do not wear protective gear, putting their skin and lungs into direct contact with the chemicals, causing a multitude of severe skin irritations and respiratory diseases. The tannery facilities and machinery themselves are also dangerous, as many injuries take place, but no one dares to complain for fear of losing their job. The tanneries produce chemicals that are not properly treated to be environmentally safe, and large amounts of toxic waste is illegally dumped into rivers. Just outside the facilities are urban communities subject to living with the chemicals in the air and water. Innocent people and wildlife suffer from the same health consequences as the tannery workers. People even fish in the contaminated rivers and sell those fish to unknowing customers in the local markets. Thankfully, this issue has a happier ending than most. In 2017, a law was finally passed and enforced, preventing tanneries from operating in Hazaribagh. A safer facility has been in the works for many years in Savar, a remote area away from civilians. Tanneries were finally forced to move to Savar, enabling Hazaribagh to slowly return to a healthy environment. However, the Savar tanneries are still dealing with many issues, resulting in lower exports and revenue in recent years. The new facilities are equipped with proper safety measures, but still face difficulties with efficiently supporting the magnitude of waste output. It's an ongoing struggle that is seemingly leading to the closure of these tanneries. Agbogbloshie in Ghana. Agbogbloshie is the second largest e-waste processing site in West Africa. It's basically a junkyard of electronics that imports legal and illegal containers of hazardous waste from a multitude of countries such as France, Japan, and the US. A lot of countries have laws against this, but oftentimes it's just much more cost-efficient to dump their toxic materials onto someone that wants it than to recycle it themselves. However, one of the dangers that is often overlooked here is computer data. While the computers that arrive in Agbogbloshie are broken, private and sensitive data from hard drives can still be extracted and are often used for identity theft and internet fraud. There have even been incidents of confidential US government and contract data found. People from all over Ghana travel to Agbogbloshie to earn a living salvaging raw materials from scrap parts. Using archaic tools to crack open and harvest valuable materials, they put not only themselves in harm's way, but also the environment. There are no safety regulations, so injuries happen frequently, while spilt chemicals and fumes pollute the land and air. Many poisons like lead and mercury are present in the electronics. To remove plastic and other materials from the copper, they burn it in an open fire. This causes a high volume of lead contamination into the soil and air. Electronics also house acid, so if someone is unfamiliar with how to safely take apart a component, they risk serious injuries. People living here suffer from various pollution-related illnesses and have difficulty breathing. Some people even bring their families along, knowing the health risks, because they are desperate to make money for a better future for their kids. Despite all the issues here, they actually do a great job recycling materials. Nothing is wasted, and they even craft some of the salvaged materials into new goods to sell. In 2014, Agbogbloshie began taking steps for a better future for their workers and the environment. With the help of nonprofit organizations, a project was started that brought education, machinery, protective gear, and other eco-friendly options into their workplace. The machines assist in safely harvesting a desired metal, for example, separating plastic from copper without having to burn it. Things are improving until 2021, when the government and military abruptly demolished the scrapyard with almost no warning.
What we noticed was the presence of scrap dealers at the area, because they are saying that they were not informed that this particular exercise was going to affect them. And despite the agitations from these scrap dealers,
This was a devastating blow to the urban poor who relied on the scrapyard for their livelihood.
As a scrap dealers, what at least you benefit for young country. In your quarters, or what is scrap dealers? Among count. Wow, Sankamas scrap dealers can come my Minyama because we are container almost 100 million Yama. My Yaman.
The government has no interest in providing alternative jobs. Now, people are so desperate that they spend every day digging in the demolished ruins for any remaining metal. Others have taken the business underground and into their homes, where they've regressed back to the harmful methods they once used. All the progress and efforts of these nonprofit organizations have gone to waste, and now the toxic materials are being spread into neighborhoods all over the city rather than just one condensed area. The Niger River Delta in Nigeria. The Delta region was once filled with prosperous land full of economic potential. But since the 1950s, Delta has become home to various oil extraction companies like Shell. Over the decades, the local community has suffered devastating levels of pollution due to oil spills and gas flaring. Exact statistics are unknown, but there are estimates of over 100 million barrels worth of oil spills polluting the environment. The river and soil is completely contaminated with oil, meaning there's no clean food or water. Almost all the fish are dead and crops won't grow, so fishers and farmers barely produce enough to eat, let alone make a living. The other hazard Nigerians have to live with is gas flaring. Gas flaring is when natural gas is burned as a part of the oil extraction process. It emits methane and various toxic chemicals into the air, contributing to global warming. Inhaling such pollution causes chronic illness such as leukemia, cancer, and various respiratory disease.
I have a lot of sickness, headache, and other things receiving from the smoke of the oil.
On top of that, the pollution causes acid rain. The rain damages roofs and makes fishing grounds even less abundant than they already are. Naturally, these communities have become very poor and can't afford repairs, let alone a decent home to live in. The main causes for oil spills are reportedly accidents, insufficient equipment, and theft. Shell admitted that the pipelines were built between the 60s and 80s, so they innately lack the proper safety standards and technology of modern builds. Today, alternatives to gas flaring are available that prevent pollution and can utilize or store power for the city. However, that's an expensive upgrade to their current system, and the government is not paying. Nigeria is easily one of the more infamous countries for corruption. The government doesn't care to help their people, and only the rich thrive. Such absurd living conditions have led the country into self-sabotage, where many people resort to theft just to make a living to eat. They steal oil, often by damaging the piping, resulting in even more pollution to their lands. They know what they're doing is wrong, and they don't want to partake in it, but the government offers no aid in jobs or basic human living conditions.
If we have better jobs, we will leave this one. You know, this is too dangerous for us. It's risky.
We do it because we have no jobs. No jobs. You understand? The government should help us. We are doing it illegal. We want government to assist so that we do it legal.
While the government has been making promises to clean the pollution, little progress can be seen by those affected, and the international oil companies ignore laws and make no effort to help Nigeria. In updated news, a case against Shell that was originally filed back in 2008 was finally concluded in 2021, with Shell being found guilty. The verdict is the first of its kind, and Shell was ordered to pay the farmers for damages and have leak detection equipment installed. Would you be able to live in any of these cities? Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Thanks for watching!